What are you doing?
Mia, put the gun down. Put the gun down, please. Mia! Put the fucking gun down!
You are all going to die tonight.
Evil Dead. Evil Dead remake, reboot, call it what you will. 2013 reboot of the original 1981 classic. As sometimes you get these horror films that are just way over the top when it comes to gore and blood and violence, and Evil Dead is definitely in that category. I'll be honest, I'm going to address the elephant in the room straight away. I remember when the Evil Dead remake was announced, it was coming out. It was polarised straight away before people have even seen it. People do get quite elitist when it comes to their films, especially like, you know, the classics. You know, whenever you hear about a remake, people instantly roll their eyes, and usually within good reason. You know, there's so many absolutely diabolical remakes out there. You know, you got Total Recall, RoboCop. The list just goes on, and they're absolutely fucking embarrassing. And they're an embarrassment to the original franchise. But then every now and again, one will come along and it's like, you've done that right. And in this case, I think it surpassed the original. I don't know what it was about the original Evil Dead. I didn't really, I wasn't really feeling the comedy element to it. It was very slapstick. It was that era, the sort of video nasties in the 80s, you know, Brain Dead and, you know, those kind of like really, really horrible, over-the-top, gory films. Evil Dead, the original, never really done it for me. I don't know why. It's just, I didn't like the slapstick. I didn't like the comedy elements to it. I know it goes down like an absolute classic in the horror community, and I fully respect that. My main man Noleg, he was the one who gave me the sort of idea to make my own channel. He's very much a loyalist when it comes to the Evil Dead franchise. He absolutely adores the original, can't stand the remake. This is a case for me, I'm sorry, the remake was far better, far more enjoyable. It was not funny, there was absolutely zero comedy, not even black comedy in this. It was fucking deadpan. It was fucking grabbed you by the throat and said, you like horror films then? How about this? How about this? Get your eyes around this one. It was, oh my god, it is, you know, the violence and the gore is usually restored back to, you know, the 80s, 90s. I can't remember watching a film, because I mean this came out in 2013. I can't remember watching a film in the last sort of 20 years this violent and this gory and this bloody, and it was fucking fantastic. I absolutely loved it. But anyway, it was so the original was directed by Sam Raimi. Obviously done, you know, numerous unbelievable horrors since Drag Me to Hell and, you know, a bunch of others. This remake was directed by a Fede Alvarez, and he's since gone on to do Don't Breathe, which was a very enjoyable horror. Probably didn't deserve the hype that it got, but it was thoroughly enjoyable. So he has a very big career going forward in horror, definitely. He's doing the next Don't Breathe 2. But the interesting thing about this remake is that they got a lot of the original people who were involved in the original Evil Dead on board with this remake. And I think when people actually saw it in the cinema and they heard that a lot of the original people who were involved, either directing it or producing it, or even Bruce Campbell starring in it, they backed off a bit. I remember when it came out, obviously on Facebook, on the internet, it was polarised. Now you go on to a lot of the horror group chats and people raving about it, and they just weren't doing that back in 2013. So that says it all. They've definitely won people over. And it's weird, horror films do that, don't they? I've seen so many horror films that came out and done nothing in the box office, and then it's only about 5 or 6 years later that it's gone down in history as an absolute masterpiece. The Shining is the biggest example. That was a box office flop. It was polarised and everyone hated it. And I know for a fact Hereditary, in 20 years' time, people will look back at that as a masterpiece, but that's my bias. But anyway, so the producers of the Evil Dead remake, Bruce Campbell, obviously the star on the show in the original, and obviously the franchise going forward. Sam Raimi is back as a producer, and Robert Taper, he was the other producer, and I think he was involved in some aspects of the original. So having these guys back, I mean, you know, the masters are back, and they're looking to perfect their work, and boy did they, what a film. So characters going forward, it's basically around a character called Mia, who's played by Jane Levy or Levy. I've seen her in a couple of other horror films actually recently. She's making a big name in the horror industry. I've seen her in a few other films. She carried this film. She was absolutely fucking fantastic in it. I mean, obviously, you know, the Evil Dead's always around someone who's been tortured, and you know, but she goes to hell and back. Her character's actually a junkie. I'm not quite sure what she was on, but it could have been, I don't know, crystal meth or heroin or something like that. And so the whole story is basically based around her going to the cabin in the woods, the famous cabin in the woods, Evil Dead, and she's DTing off whatever drug she's on. And I think that they used that absolutely fantastically, because everything that she's then complaining about, I'm going crazy here, I'm going mad, what's that smell? You know, when she eventually gets taken over by the evil entity, after that passage being read out in the famous Book of Death by the character called Eric. Fucking hell, is dead. I can't remember the last time there was such an annoying fucking character in all my life. And boy does he pay for it. Jesus Christ, he goes through about like 5 people's worth of death scene alone. But he, given the circumstances, they arrive at the cabin and they're getting ready to downturn and do a big detox session with Mia and her brother David, played by Silo Fernandez, I think that's his name. He was very good in it as well, but Mia, her performance, she was absolutely fantastic, man. 10 out of 10. So they're all basically battening up the hatches, and they're going to lock down to make sure that she finally kicks this drug habit. And a sacrifice, some kind of ritual went on in the basement of the cabin. So when they get there, there's all these cats hanging up by wires, and some kind of horrible religious sacrifice has happened. I'm not sure if I'm going to do spoilers yet, but it's not going to... Shut up, phone. Sorry about that, phone. I'm not going to give away the ending, but I'll give away this opening scene because I don't give a fuck. It is absolutely fantastic. It starts out with this girl, she must be about 18, 19, running through the woods, and it's almost like that film Wrong Turn. There's these hillbillies sort of running after her, and they knock her out. and they tie her to. She basically wakes up and she's tied to a post, and they're dousing her in petrol. And there's this sort of witch, like this, like one of those seances, one of those shaman people, reciting all this sort of foreign text, foreign words all over her. And she's absolutely no idea what's going on. She's like, please help me. And then her dad suddenly steps behind this sort of shaman woman. And this girl, she's screaming like, Daddy, what are you doing? What are you doing? She goes, I'm sorry, darling, we have to do this. We have to do this. And she's like, where's Mummy? I want to go home. Mummy's dead, darling. You killed her. And she's like, I don't know what's going on. I'm confused. I just want to go home, Daddy. I want to go home. Dousing her in petrol. And the dad flicks a match. And the sort of shaman woman say, do it, do it, do it. And the girl's like, please, Daddy, I want to go home. I want to go home, please. And then her head just drops. And then she looks up and goes, I'm going to rip your fucking soul out, Daddy! And then, of course, they throw the match on her. And, as she's burning to death, she mentions that, I'm going to see your wife, I'm going to see your whore of a wife down in hell. I'm going to go see her. And that's the opening scene, and it just goes, Evil Dead. So you knew straight away what you were in for. I actually went to the cinema and watched this, and it was, I think it was like something like the seventh day after it came out. So the cinema was quite empty. There was me, who was it? 3 other friends. Pooja, if you're watching, she was there. I think it was Adam as well. And I'm not going to give the ending away, but it was the one and only time in my life the end scene, something happens and it's just unbelievably fucking gory, like OTT, like let's just say involves chainsaws. And I got up, I whooped, I got up and I was like, yeah, and clapped. Now I know there's going to be some American people here looking at this channel. Thank you for all your views. That's not common practice in the UK. We're very, we're all about politeness and decorum. So for me to jump up out of my seat and cheer and like, yeah, woo, that says it all. That says it all. So basically, to sum up, so this entity that's arisen by the character Eric, who reads the I can't remember the exact name of the book. It's the Book of the Dead, but there's a long term for it, and it's covered in like barbed wire and black paper bag, like a black bags, and when he opens it, a lot of the text is actually scribbled out, and it said, "Do not read this text." He's had enough warnings. He's had quite a few, but of course he gets tracing paper and goes like that, and he starts to read it out. And this entity then starts stalking Mia, who's DTing outside the hut. She's pacing around the place. And this entity takes the form of a tree. And the tree basically rapes Mia. I remember something similar happened in the original, but I don't remember it being this graphic. I'm really uncomfortable when it comes to rape scenes anyway, let alone when a fucking tree is raping a woman. But so then of course she starts losing her mind, and she does this unbelievable. She plays this paranoid scene where she's in a bunk bed, and her brother comes in to sort of tap her, make sure she's all right, and she's like that. Her acting was just absolutely fucking fantastic. It was just, I was petrified watching her, because the way she was portraying her fear and her paranoia was so good. It sort of grabbed me in, and I was invested in imagining her going through this scene. I do that with horrors a lot, but her acting was just so good. I almost was feeling like I was experiencing some of the shit that she was going through. And then of course, the entity possesses her, and it starts to attack everyone one by one. But then the entity will latch onto them as well. And it needs a number of sacrifices to raise Satan again. So I'm not going to give any more away, but all hell breaks loose, and it's an absolute fucking gore fest. There's so many death scenes in it, so many mutilations, and just some of the most iconic death scenes I've seen in a long time. It was absolutely fantastic. I cannot big this film up enough. And again, you can tell this is a limited edition Blu-ray. I got, you can see her coming out of the ground there. So that's how much I enjoyed this film. Absolutely fantastic. And Noise is going to give Evil Dead Remake, the 2013 version, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10. I know there's a lot of elitists and there's a lot of people there who are loyal to the original. You can still love the original, but all I'm saying is that this one, it does the original justice. Please trust me when I say this. It does the original justice, and it's absolutely fantastic. But anyway, I'm blabbering on like I usually do towards the end. So thank you very much for the views, the likes. Please subscribe and leave a comment in the section below. Let me know if you want spoilers. I've only had one comment so far. After watching this, let me know if you want full spoilers or not, and I might start doing them in my videos. But yeah, I'll speak to you guys soon. This is Steve Noise, Horror Noise. Much love. Take care.